on those matters. Yeah, of course, I have to start with the theory. What is qualitative and quantitative? But most of you are aware of these methods. So I guess I don't need to tell or speak more about these approaches. Qualitative, as you already know, it is in-depth type of study where word, opinion, thoughts, people's feelings, their desires, their uh, moods, all those physical appearance in the field, all those matter for qualitative. However, in quantitative, just people they tick mark the responses and they give you some numerical value, or you will get some statistical analysis out of those. And as you know, qualitative consists of a lot of details, specific case, people, group, and there is a depth of information in qualitative. However, in quantitative, there might be lack of depth. Just you deal with the number. You deal with the, like a difficult question, what responses people are responding, yes no question, what yes no question they are writing, what quantitative data they are supplying, economic data or any other livelihood related data, a number of their land holding, all those data they might come on quantitative. However, in case of qualitative, it is recorded, sample size is small. Wherever possible, or if possible, we need to record the qualitative. But that might not be the case every time. If you are doing ethnographic study, many people suggest not to record the ethnographic study because that will not be a lively experience. If you try to record, people will deviate. They don't want to tell you the reality. And if you have to participate as a researcher or as a researcher in ethnographic study, you have to participate, you have to move with them. In that case, if you start recording, they will make you feel like you are a stranger and they will not share all their experiences. In that case, recording is not done in some cases so that in-depth information, what is the reality that could be taken out. So some cases recording is not done, but we all know that researchers, they need a proof. And what is the proof? Recording is the proof where you can develop a transcript. Field note could be done, but many researchers, they want transcript. Especially policymaker, manager, they may not need those transcript. They want what is the reality. However, academician, professors, the journal reviewers, they want transcript. They want people's saying. They want people's how they actually express those things. That is the matter for academic researchers. So recording is usually done in dissertation thesis if you do. Yes, no mathematics is necessary since you in the past I used to make codes and their frequency analysis I used to do, but you do not need to apply any mathematical, statistical. And in case of qualitative, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes if you have to do ethnographic study, many people spend many years as well to get in depth into those topical areas, social cultural issues. They have to be in the field for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or many more years, so that they will have in-depth, rich information on those topics. So quantitative takes a lot of time. And even conducting interview, planning for interview, bringing that interview transcript takes a lot of time if you have already done. That is enough work. And sometimes people tell that if you do more than 5,000 survey, that is equal to 50 interviews or 10, 20, 30, 40 interviews, because there is a much more work you do in qualitative. However, in quantitative, you just bring the data, enter in Excel or any other SPSS, you just analyze it. But in qualitative, there is a lot to do before and after. So qualitative, it takes a lot of time. So sample size is usually less. But we already discussed last time how to determine the sample size. In qualitative, you go with saturation. You don't indicate how many you need. You indicate how much information you need, how much will be the sufficient information for you, and how much will be the saturation of information for you. Whether new concepts are coming or not. If new concepts are not coming, you don't need to do more. If data is sufficient, then you expect, then you can stop. So sufficiency, saturation might be important in the case of qualitative. However, in quantitative, you use statistical formulas, sample size, power analysis formulas, so you can determine your quantitative. Observation, interviews, documents, focus group, questionnaire. Those are few examples. And of course, in case of qualitative, we try to use semi-structured questions. Why semi-structured? Because we need to have some topic to discuss. So some type of question you should generate. You should have some question in mind, but that is not structure, that is semi-structure. And you will input as many follow-up questions according to the response of the people. What type of information you need? You can prepare follow-up question before going in the field. However, sometimes you might add other follow-up question according to the data you get, according to the information. Because if you are applying a grounded theory approach, you are going to develop a new theory from the ground. In that case, sometimes the question you made, the follow-up question you planned may not work, and you might need to ask follow-up question according to the data you get, according to the information they supply. So that's why it is semi-structured type of question. You have to go with some question, but that shouldn't be structured. Yes, these are some of the examples, and I have applied most of those in my previous research work. I could share you those experiences as well. Yeah, this is some of the example where many researchers they follow. There are different approaches. Some people say narrative approach, case study approach, grounded theory approach, historical approach, phenomenological approach, ethnographic approach. There are different approaches. They are the different approaches. Okay, and in case of data collection method, most of them you could say interview and surveys. In most of them, they do either interview, surveys or document, or in some cases they do group discussion. So those are the data collection methods. And how you analyze, what are the forms of scientific writing, what type of epistemological foundation you follow. These are some example. I will not go on depth. So many researchers, if you are applying qualitative, they will need some answer from the first column. What is the approach you are using? Either grounded theory, phenomenological, ethnographic, case study, narrative, historical. They need that answer in the beginning, so you need to be able to do. After that, what is important? What type of data collection method you apply? Interviews, focus group, observation, documentation, and and then after you prepare a transcript for analysis, coding, thematic analysis, or narrative analysis, whatever you do, those things comes out. I will share you those examples. And this is about the paradigm used. Usually, qualitative comes in the second one. Many people, they say constructivist interpretist paradigm is one of the qualitative approach. In qualitative, the paradigm you use is either constructivist or interpretive approach, or sometimes people may use critical theory approach as well. In qualitative, they might use critical theory. Sometimes they may go with subjectivism as well. However, positivism, post-positivism are done for quantitative, and pragmatism is done for or applied for mixed method study. For qualitative, either constructive, second one, constructivist, interpretive approach. You could see all those methods are qualitative methods. So which approach that is constructivist, interpretive. And in subjectivism also, you can apply some example of qualitative, but you can do other studies as well. In critical theory also, you can apply qualitative approach. So these are some of the paradigm. Okay, now this is important. Which one should you choose on your study topic? Qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method. What determines the method you choose? I know many researchers, they do study according to what they know. If they are expert on qualitative, they always try to apply or answer what type of research question? Qualitative only. If they are good on statistic, quantitative, they try to take what type of question? Quantitative questions. Test what are the quantitative question? How the quantitative question or research objective start with? Testing, validating, replicating, significant analysis. They are the some of the words that is used for quantitative. If research question objective start with those words, you are doing which approach? Quantitative. But qualitative, what type of word comes on research question and objective? Exploring. You are exploring. You are developing. You are observing. In those cases, you might apply qualitative. And mixed method, it depends upon how you start. If you start with qualitative and then quantitative, then you will explore and then test or validate. If you are applying quantitative first and then qualitative, first you will test and then you will observe or explore why that test is happening. So in that way, you design your research question according to your need. So the choice of method depend upon what type of topic you have and what type of research question, bringing all responses together where people will not be suffering. Yeah. That is the real answer. It means if it is social critical issue that will make people vulnerable to risks, that people don't want to share in public. If such issues you are taking, you shouldn't do focus group discussion because people become afraid of each other. Suppose you one person, they don't want to share their personal issue with other. Actually, if it is a social personal issue which can impact their reputation, which can impact their personal prestige, in that case you might need to do those interviews separately. In some cases people don't want to record those as well. If you record, I will not tell. Some people may say that. In that case, you don't need to record because those critical issues, if you record and if you publish it somewhere, those people might be at risk. So sometimes they may not allow you to record. That's why I will speak on that rapport building, trust, all those things later. So trust, rapport building, the consent you take, privacy of information, all those things are important in qualitative. In quantitative, just the tick mark. In quantitative, if they are expressing their feelings, for example, your checklist or question. So you prepare a question now. After you prepare your question, always be careful. Try to test that. Pilot testing is always important in qualitative. Why pilot testing is important? Can you tell me? If you don't do pilot testing, you will not identify whether that question is applicable in the real field or not. You prepare a question with reference to literature. Whether those questions could be asked or not, you don't know. To know that, you have to do piloting. Whether by asking that question, the responses you need or responses you are required to get, whether you get that or not. Whether those questions applicable in a third world country, whether those questions are applicable in US or not. You have to check all those scenarios. So piloting is important. Sometimes you misinterpret certain question. So you have to use the exact word according to the location. British English word are different. American English word are different. South Asian Indian type of English word are different. So you have to use a specific word to make people understand so that you can get the answer. So piloting is always important. Everybody should do piloting before going because you have all those planning, you have spent a lot of money. If you go to the field and you didn't get any answer, it is not a tick mark question, right? It is in-depth answer. You need a problem. You need to identify problem and find a solution for that. In that case, you have to see whether those questions will help you to get those information or not. In reality, that question could be asked or not. Yes, you can prepare the question, but in field, that couldn't be asked. So you need to do piloting. Do piloting. After piloting those interview or focus group, analyze as well the thing you want. the result you want, the result you expect, whether those things are coming or not, you have to check. Otherwise, you have to modify your question. By asking that question, the real answer you are getting or not. You have to modify the question according to what type of result you get. So you need to analyze the piloted result as well. Not only you do piloting, you need to analyze so that now it is sufficient for me to take for exact data collection. So piloting and its analysis is important. Many people, they do iterative process. They do it iteratively means they keep on asking question, they keep on analyzing, and they keep on doing further interviews or focus group according to the responses they are getting. They keep on changing the question slightly. That is the iterative process. In data collection step, you can apply iterative process. However, you need to do piloting before doing all those steps. And then after piloting, now you will find, and piloting can be done with anybody else, with a friend, with the real participants, or with the probable participants, you can do piloting. Now, after your piloting is done, your question is set. Your question is ready. Your question could be asked. Now you will make a list of participants. Who are the people who could respond? Who are the people you need to get contact information from that? How to get those? You need to find somebody. You need to first. We can do snowball sampling, but to start a snowball sampling also, you need to identify the first person, right? You need to purposely select some people. Some people, they might select them randomly. However, many people, they do purposive sampling in qualitative. Purposively, they select one person, conduct interview, and they get other respondent number and contact with reference with that participant. It means they do snowball sampling. From one person, you get the name of 3-4 people. Again, from the 3-4 people, you get name of other 3-4 people. In that way, you can identify the contact information. And you all know, preparing a list of interviews, their contact information, it should be done purposively. In my research, I have a list of many people. So I have a list of many people. I know all people have similar information. In my one of the research, I use random sampling as well. If you have a long list, you can do random as well. But if you have only few people, in that case, you can do random sampling. Or marginalized people, if you have to approach, sometimes gatekeeper are always important. Gatekeeper means those are the people who you need to visit, who you need to meet before going to meet the participants. Giving you one example, when we are assessing gender discrimination issues, or when we are assessing, election related issue, first of all, we visited those leader in the village or those leader in that society. If I don't visit the leader, other people are not going to speak with me. If a leader allows, those people will speak with me, otherwise not. Once I speak with the leader will feel, this guy is coming, give them data. This guy is coming for interview, please help them. After that, many people will be ready. Until that person give data, give interviews, meet that person, nobody is going to meet. So those are the gatekeepers. Those are the leaders. Once they allow you, many people will be able to give you information. So gatekeeper are important. In one of the research in a mountain area, when we were going, there was one leader. Before meeting that leader, I approached many people to visit. Nobody responded me. Nobody spoke with me any word. And when I met the leader, he asked me why you are coming, and I told all those reasons. And later on, he said, "Okay, Anup, I will inform all people. Now they will be ready to give you interviews." And he told all people that this guy is for this study. This guy is helping us to find this problem. So give interviews with them. And then I was able to do it. Otherwise, nobody spoke with me. So those are the gatekeepers. They will allow you to intern. They are on the gate. They will help you intern. So gatekeeper are important in qualitative. In US case, It might not be that relevant. Or here also there might be gatekeeper. If you are going in certain organization, certain group, if one of the leader tell, oh, this guy is there in this group, and then here in US also, those gatekeeper might help you out. Because gatekeeper will provide them some sort of security. Once gatekeeper is secured, he will give security to other people. They are the gatekeeper.
Like trust.
Yeah. Once the leader say he is trustable guy, give information, everybody will be able to do. So that gatekeeper is important. He is the leader. So many cases gatekeeper are there for qualitative. And once you have a gatekeeper, you got people to visit. You have now you will identify what time they are free, what date they are free, which venue. In terms of venue, uh, qualitative is usually done in quiet place, private area, where outsider will not affect the data they give, information they give. If somebody influenced from outside, our study will not be complete. The data information you get will not be sufficient. So you have to do in quiet place. And you also need to be mindful of the time duration. How much time you need, you should tell in beginning, and you should reserve or you should schedule your time according to how much time you need. Sometimes you say 2 hours, but interview might go for 5 hours. If people are willing to stay, if nothing happens, you can go for 5 hours. However, you have time only for 2 hours. After 2 hours or before 2 hours, you have to tell your time is finished. If you have work, you can go. But if you are really willing to support, you can stay. If they want to stay for longer, you can building. Now you all know rapport building is always important. Before doing interview, people need to know who you are. You need to know who they are. Otherwise, the interview will not go smoothly. You need to know each other before doing interview. That doesn't mean that whatever you are going to ask, you need to tell all the question. Never do that. Don't tell all your question that you are going to ask. Only give the topic, only tell the topic area you are trying to discuss. Giving the topic is justifiable, but giving all the questions that you are asking, you are not doing any media survey. You are not doing any media interview. You are not doing any television interview. You are doing a research interview. Don't tell, never give all the questions. Some experts, some educated people, they ask what question you will ask. Till the topic, don't give the question. Why you shouldn't? It's better not to conduct interview with the known people. It is suggested, but sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you need to do interview with the known people. So it is suggested in qualitative to have some outsider perspective. So people will tell the problem. If you know his problem, I don't need to do interview. So you have to you should have some outsider perspective. If he knows me, he will not tell everything. He will hide his private matter. Yeah, that is true, Arman. That is true. So you to have some outsider perspective is important. So rapport building doesn't mean you need to do everything. You need to know everything. Just tell who you are, what you are doing. They need to know you. Make a good rapport before doing any interviews. So they will be. Otherwise, who will schedule that valuable time for you until you do rapport building? Yes, some people do interviews, focus group for money. Many people they don't want to. They don't see the money for the focus group or interviews. They are not interested in the money because their time is valuable. If you could only rapport build, they are ready to do. If they know what you are doing, why that important, what is that relevance for them, only people will be ready. So you should do that in rapport building, clear in that beginning. Okay, now gatekeeper, rapport building. Now your interview date is set up. Now you are ready with your questionnaire, you are ready with your time, you are ready with the people who you are interviewing. Always be an effective communicator. What I do is whenever I book interview, I email them one week before. What I do is I email them 1 week before, or I message them 1 week before, or I call them 1 week before that I'm coming next week. Now they will be prepared. And before one day also I call them or I email them whether they are ready or not. because you have to make people prepared. Otherwise, people have their own job, they may forget. You have to remind 1 week before, 1 day before, at least 1 day before you have to do, so that you could go there tomorrow and conduct. You have every planning for tomorrow. If people are not ready, then your time will be wasted, their time will be wasted. So the communication, effective communication is important in qualitative. Before and during and after. Not only before, after also follow-up is important. Write email, give a right message, call them and tell them thank you for providing those information. Because those people will be important in the future study as well. If you don't do proper, or tell them what are the results and when they will be expected to get those results, you should tell them. For example, yeah, you do all those booking, all those communication, and now you started interview. What are the things you need to consider before starting interview? You need to record. You need to have all those things ready for recording. You need to have your own prompt. You have a prompt. You are coming from this institution. That are the questions you are planning to ask. Are you ready for that or not? Yes, you take recording permission before recording, but I will always suggest, I have taken permission, but can I record? Ask in between the recording also, so that there is a verbal proof beside all those written proof. Yes, you have consent to record initially, but what I usually do in recording is I ask them, I'm recording. Do you still have permission to do that? I ask that question. So that verbally also they are giving you consent to record. So I apply that. So get the verbal permission for recording. Tell them, are you ready to interview? Or you can stop in between if you don't really want. You have to tell those things. And before starting, you have to give them chance to ask question. Do you have any question before asking an interview? All these are the basic things you shouldn't forget before starting any interview. Now your topic comes. Now you start asking question. You do follow up. You ask a lot of questions. Some information comes up. You were not prepared to ask question, but if now new information coming, you have to prepare follow up at the instant, because you need to get more in depth on that topic where you were never expecting that in the past. You might have your own follow up question. Sometimes you need to prepare new according to the need. So quantitative is an iterative process where you need to keep on changing after every interview, after second interview. You need to analyze what are the missing things, how that missing thing could be addressed. So always it is suggested to do iterative process of data collection. Okay. So effective communication, and then you conduct interviews. Before finishing the interview, you have to tell them, do you have anything to share? And you have to stop the recording. You have to tell people these results are supposed to come after this month. We will share this to you. Any other things you need to share, we will contact you. If there is any issue, you can contact this person. So all those things you need to tell. So these are always important. And yeah, in US also few people they forget the schedule. In some cases, you need to reschedule again and again in US. But in a rural country, if you have to go in another country, the first scheduling never works. You have to reschedule again and again, because something important comes up, they are not ready to give you interview. If some important issue come in their family, are they ready to interview? You have to reschedule again. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes rainfall occurs, they have to go in other agricultural work, because your request and your interview is not the priority for them. They have other priorities. So you need to reschedule again and again. That might happen in US or outside. And always do not forget to thank and do snowball. At the end, now ask people, do you have any other people who could help me to take other interviews? Get snowball sample from them. At the end. So in that way, you will get chance to approach other people who are the important in your topical area. But always trustworthiness is important in every step. So how trustworthiness is important? Number one, while preparing checklist question, what does trustworthiness in preparing research question means? You have to do thorough literature review and you have to prepare your research question or checklist according to detailed literature review. If you do detailed literature review, that is the trustworthiness for your research question. To finalize the interview question, do literature review, do piloting, that is a trustworthiness. Piloting is one of the trustworthy method, or the detailed literature review is a trustworthiness for your research question. For preparing list of question, or for preparing list of participant, purposic sampling, it might be one of the trustworthiness medium for you, because to get in-depth information, you are doing purposive sampling. So that is one of the trustworthy way to do. In case of booking people's time or scheduling people time, you have to do in the free time of the people. You don't have to do in the busy season. Because that is the cropping harvest season. Sometimes it is the crop growing season. You are not supposed to do in those season. If you do, your research is never complete. So that is the trustworthiness, because people are ready to give you enough time so you will get in-depth information. And your interview goes for 2 to 4 hours, means that is a trustworthiness. That is in-depth answer they are getting. A lot of responses you are getting. So getting in-depth information is a trustworthy measure. And even asking follow-up question, doing iterative process, that is also another level of trustworthiness, because you are changing question according to the time, situation, and the demand. So that is one of the way of trustworthiness. Sometimes you take multiple respondent. You do convergent, or you take many people or different category of people, different group of people. Sometimes, so in that way also there is a trustworthiness. I will discuss more on trustworthiness here. So these are some of the important steps you need to take. Okay, number one, develop and maintain relationship in the field. Trust, confidence, rapport, discretion, sensitivity, empathy, consent, they need to be addressed in qualitative. All those things, no one letter should be missed. Sensitivity you have to check, empathy you have to build, consent you have to take, rapport you have to build, confidence you have to bring, trust you have to develop, and then your qualitative research will be trustworthy. So you should do that, follow that in qualitative. Another thing, don't collect data in ex situ condition, do in a field real life scenario. Do in situ means do in the real field how those things are observed. So do recording or not, you have to justify whether recording is possible or not. In many of my interview, recording people didn't allow. Anup, if you record, I will not speak. I have to stop my recording and I have to take only notes. Sometimes you can't record because people are not willing to record them. Can't record. So take a note. I don't want to stop my interview, but I want to take my notes. They are willing to take the notes. They are ready to provide the notes, but not the recording. So you have to reply according to what type of participants you have. Recording, no one technique fits. No any technique fits for everyone. Qualitative differs according to me, you, whoever conducts. So it's not universal technique. It depends upon who conduct the interview. But whoever conduct qualitative study, you need to have some information on that topic. People not knowing that issue, if people go in the field and started asking questions, that research is never complete. So you need to have some basic information before doing any qualitative. In quantitative, anybody can do quantitative. You don't need to know the topic because they just need to feel. In qualitative, you must know the context. Topic. Yes, another thing is gesture. In qualitative, gesture is important. Their gesture, whether they are happy, sad, whether they are stopping in between. what type of gesture they are showing, they are important. They are learning ideas, surprises, biases, all the things are there. One people might say one thing, another people might say another thing on that topic. One you expect one thing, they give another answer. That might be the reality. Surprises and biases are there. And in qualitative, you need to report all those things. Surprises and biases are always there, you need to report. Within the people also, there might be surprises and biases. Analyze data regularly, as I say, iterative process. However, if you are doing coding or if you are analyzing intercoder reliability, inter-rater, intra-rater, I will tell you about that later, okay? In the field, leave the field, decide when, how, and how to close relationship. You don't want to, you have to be mindful of developing new relationship over there in the field, okay? So you, before leaving the field, decide on all those things. You, whether you need to be in connection with them or not, do accordingly if you need to follow up. Don't think that you are doing that research for one time. You might need to go further in the future. Be mindful of that in qualitative. Same people you might need to visit in the another visit. So how, when, how to close the relationship, you should be mindful of that. And then at the end, you write your final report, and sometimes you present your report with, sometimes you go there in the field and you share your result. And then you have to identify whether they agree on that report or not. If you prepare a report, they say, no, this is never happening to us. You have to change your report accordingly. So before presenting qualitative, if you present to the people and they say, yes, these are the things, then you could present. Sometimes we may misinterpret. So share that in the field. If they say, yeah, this is the fine, then you can report it. So always sharing is done after you prepare preliminary result. It's always better to share. I have done that every time when I do qualitative. Otherwise, you bring one result that is not the exact scenario of those people. Sometimes that happens because you misinterpret. Okay? In that case, don't misinterpret. So data collection, language is important. If I am not good in English, never conduct interview in English with me. Conduct in which language I am more efficient. Otherwise, people cannot share their reality if you do in the language they are easy, their native language. So better to follow in native language. Spanish people do in Spanish. If they are not good in English, don't try English because they speak broken English. You will never understand. They can't express their feelings. Do in native language where they can express their feelings. So language is the barrier. If you don't choose the language properly, your data will never be sufficient. Language is important. Wherever you conduct, yes, native American English or native British English, then English, do them English. If they are international, think of whether they are ready to do in English or other language. Language is the, otherwise communication barrier will be there. The question you ask, they will not understand. The response they wanted to give, they can't express that properly, and the answer you get are misinterpreted by me. So language is important. Which language? Taking consent, I already told. Taking consent, developing trust. Yes, sir, all those things are important. Recording or not recording, note taking, that is the reality. And now another important is transcription. We will go with the transcription later, okay? Okay, I am heading more on the consistency and trustworthiness. Consistency of responses and coding, detailed field note. If you are taking field note, detailed field note. Recording, detailed recording. Transcribing, detailed transcribing. Don't miss anything on transcribing. Many people, they miss, they leave some recording. If that is not relevant, then leave it. Otherwise, if that is relevant, you should never leave the transcription. But irrelevant matter, you can omit. So credibility and in terms of trustworthiness, those 4 words are important: credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability. If somebody asks what is trustworthiness, those 4 words describe trustworthiness. Your answer should be credible, transferable, dependable, and confirmable. How credibility could be maintained? Long engagement in the field. your rapport building, the time you spend on the field to understand the scenario, okay, how many minutes of interview you conduct. Another important is triangulation. You conduct data or prepare data or do interview with different sources and triangulate them. What you get from the expert, what you get from the general people, what you get from the leaders. So bring all those things and the triangulate, and that information will help you to bring a trustworthy information because you are bringing from different sources. So triangulation of sources. Sometimes triangulation of method. Sometimes if that process is better through interview, do interview. If focus group could be done, do focus group do as well. You can do triangulation in method. Suppose what is triangulation in method? Triangulation in sources means you do interview with different people, different group, teachers, general people, students, leaders. What is triangulation of method? In qualitative also, you can do interview, you can do observation, you can do focus group. Those are the triangulation. Investigator, sometimes I do, sometimes Bobby can do, sometimes another researcher can do. If we all are in good in topic, sometimes if I ask, if Bobby asks, or another person asks, the way they ask and they get information is different. That should be done. Either collecting data or while analyzing data also. In coding process also that is important. While collecting data also, investigator triangulation is important. One, I already told, qualitative is subjective, better to be done by many people. So more relevant information. However, if many people are not able to do that, yes, you have to do by one person sometime. If possible, multiple people should conduct interview, if possible, because there will be outsider perspective, insider perspective, and investigator triangulation could be done. And transferability is important. If detailed information is there, the information you get now and in after 10 years, after 5 years, the information will be same. And interview questions should be, I already discussed this issue, detailed, extensive literature review should be done for research question and interview question. Interview in native language, I already told you that for you. Back, okay, now, if you have to do interview in another language, you have to translate the question in another language. Of course, if you are not doing in English, you have to prepare question in another language. And if you are translating it, you have to do back translation of that question. Whether exact question is asked or not, you have to do back translation. Suppose I translate my English into another language. Another expert of that language should also translate back to English. And now check whether same thing is being asked or not. That is back translation. If you are doing interview in different language, what is important? Back translation. That is really issue because I always prepare question in English, but whenever I do in my country, I have to convert it to Nepali. I translate it, I give one of my Nepali expert to convert into English. Now I check whether the question I ask in Nepali and English, they are the same or not. They are similar, not the same, they are similar or not. That translation is important. And as I told you, never interrupt people if important and some information is coming. Never interrupt people. Don't ask any leading question if people are answering. Is that don't interrupt people in between if information is coming up. But if that information is not relevant, you have to do. You don't want to take any political views if you don't want. You don't want any unnecessary thing if you don't want. But never interrupt if some valuable information is coming. Let them speak if you are willing, if they are willing to speak. If they are willing, let them speak. But you have to remind them of the time. Because when people are aggressive and when people are in mood, they forget their schedule as well. So you have to remind them. Because if they miss their another schedule, they will suffer. So if you are taking interview, you have to remind people that our time is about to finish. But they say I am free, then people can't even conduct it. You have to remind people because if people are aggressive and if people, sometimes if they are in a mood, they never stop speaking. So you have to remind people, but don't interrupt if there is important information coming. remind people. Yes, projective technique. This is important in qualitative. Projective mean if I have to, for example, giving you one instance, when I have to go in the rural area, if I dress like a stranger, if I dress like, coming from city area, people will not be able to respond to you easily. You have to behave them, you have to speak with them, you have to wear your clothes according to the local scenario, so people will be more easier to speak up. A projective technique means you have to make scenario real to the people so that they will give you real information. Projective technique are always important in qualitative. And take multiple triangulation. Consider female, marginalized people, high economic, low economic, medium economic people. Try to take the perspective of different people. So your data will be more trustworthy. If you only take the rich people, they will only give the rich perspective. Also approach the poor people when they will give the poor perspective as well. If they are the medium income people, they will also have that medium income perspective. So give perspective of every people wherever possible. Indigenous, female, if possible. I'm telling everywhere it is not possible. If possible, apply those. And when I'll discuss that coder reliability later. Okay. Follow up surprises, peer debriefing is always important. Rich information is always important. Source of validity is always important. Iterative or regular analysis is important. Outsider perspective, as I already told, that is always important. Yeah, these are some of the way you collect data and analyze data. And I already told saturation for you. In qualitative, saturation or sufficiency is important. What is saturation or sufficiency mean? What is saturation mean? When no new insight, properties, dimension, relationship, code or categories are produced, even when new data are added. For example, 5 people you conducted interview. In the 6th interview, the information is same. No new code is coming, no new information is coming, then your information is saturated. In 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, same information will repeat. And that doesn't make value in qualitative because your intention is not to get how many people respond, your intention is to get new insight. So saturation is that. When all data are accounted for in the core categories and subcategories, when the coding categories and data support already support the theory, you don't need to do. They are only giving the previous responses. Follow-up, surprises, the revision, I already expressed those things, okay? And we already, now snowball I already told. What is snowball mean? One person you contact, you get response from other people. Branching, see, one give 3, 3 give 9, 9 give 9 3 is 27 or more. So in that way, you need to have your snowball sampling. Okay, now